At the dinner, Simon put his arm around my shoulders with a stern face and introduced me to the others. "This is my wife, Bella. Please take good care of her." The girl across from us had tears welling up in her eyes, her lips tightly pressed together, remaining silent. Simon's grip on my shoulder tightened slightly, sending a sharp pain through it. I looked up, and under the dim light of the crystal chandelier, a soft shadow fell across Simon's perfectly defined profile, illuminating his face. Yet, my heart ached suddenly at the word, wife. I was just a stand-in, kept in the shadows, who finally got to step out and breathe some fresh air after the real one decisively left. But now, she has returned. When I first met Simon, he was still a boy. I watched him chase after Jenny, saw him cry and laugh for her. It wasn't until Jenny broke up with him and chose to go abroad that I found the courage to get closer to him. On the day of the arranged date set up by my stepmother, I was thrilled. Changing my outfit several times and applying the makeup I had practiced countless times, but Simon just sat there smoking, indifferent, not giving me a single glance. "I'm not suited for marriage. You won't be happy with me," he said. I chuckled lightly, trying to appear as natural as possible, and took a sip of the coffee on the table. "I like you and I want to give it a try," I replied. That was probably the bravest moment I had in my 20-some years, seeing the astonishment in Simon's eyes. I softly told him, "I've liked you for many years, and I want to marry you." Simon paused for a moment, his dark eyes fixed on me for a long time, not uttering a word. I knew I looked somewhat similar to Jenny, but I was confident that I could make Simon recognize our differences. After the date, I left, and through the frosted glass, I saw Simon leaning back in his chair. He was staring blankly at the cup of coffee, his eyes dark and filled with a hint of confusion. That youthful confusion and helplessness I had remembered for 10 years, from the first time I saw him to now. Now, I watched him look at Jenny, who had fled in a panic, with eyes full of regret, sorrow, and anger. Discreetly, I walked away and watched him hesitate for a moment before resolutely chasing after her. For the rest of the dinner, I didn't see Simon and Jenny again. How ironic. My husband was chasing after his true love, but he didn't know I was dying. Just when he became restless knowing Jenny was coming back to the country, I was diagnosed with late-stage brain cancer. What does it feel like to be diagnosed with a terminal illness? It's probably like having a doctor who was originally indifferent suddenly becoming extremely gentle, patiently asking about my condition. But I just stood there, dumbstruck, unable to say a word. I wanted to tell Simon, but he was no longer in the mindset to listen to me. From the day he learned Jenny was coming back, he stopped answering calls, replying to messages, and started staying out all night. He began to look over old photos of him with Jenny, over and over again, checking flight information repeatedly. I held my phone, dazed for a long time. I clicked on the pinned WeChat message, only to exit right out of it. Suddenly, a new message popped up. "Bella, tomorrow is Sarah's birthday. Bring Simon over for dinner." It was from my stepmother, who has always disliked me, originally. Her daughter Sarah was meant to be the one to marry into the family I did, but I loved Simon over the years and naturally did not want to let go. After pleading with my father many times, I finally was the one to marry him. Because of this, my stepmother's hatred for me only grew. Now, she saw a chance to mock me and she wouldn't miss it. The only reason my father agreed to my marriage was because I knelt and begged him for an entire day. I can't quite describe how I felt then. I picked up my phone. Harboring some secretive thoughts, at the very least, I found a reason to call Simon, though. Tomorrow is also my birthday. Simon's voice was as deep and cool as ever, but softened slightly when he said my name. "Bella, I'm busy tonight and will be back late tomorrow. You should rest early." Words I wanted to say were stuck in my throat. Before I could reply, the line went dead, but I continued holding the phone in position. I held the phone in the living room, waiting for him for a long time, until the sky started to brighten, and still, no one appeared. He didn't come back. Should I call him to ask? After a while, I just held the phone, motionless. I quickly got ready and went to my father's house alone. Despite imagining countless possibilities, I didn't expect to be greeted with a flying teacup as soon as I opened the door. I didn't dodge. I let the cup smash on my head, the shards scraping across my forehead. The family looked on coldly, silently. My father, furious, barked at me. "Bella, the Smith family needs help right now, and you can't even manage your husband. What good are you?" My stepmother added fuel to the fire. "I told you before, Bella is too introverted. Now that Jenny is back, How could she possibly help our family? She can hardly save herself. Thinking it over, she continued with a tone eager for drama. Is Simon going to divorce you? My father's anger intensified, his gaze icy. If you hadn't insisted on marrying him and then failed to secure him, our family wouldn't be in this mess. He seemed to blame all his failures on me. After a bout of scolding, his mood slightly calmed. Go back now, sweet-talk him a bit, let him invest some money in our family, find some projects. My father's words were firm. I numbly picked up my things, standing by the door, the pain from the handle cutting into my palm. He won't listen to me. Facing Jenny, I was always the one left behind. Besides, given the current troubles of the James family, he's busy helping Jenny and has no time for me. Hearing this, my father grew even angrier and slapped me. A burning pain spread across my face, and I was pushed out of the door, utterly useless. I can't even handle my own husband. Hearing the angry shouting at me from inside, I realized I was back to where I used to be. After marrying Simon, there was a peaceful period with my family. Simon always firmly stood by my side. He would tightly hold my hand, support me, and counter my father's arguments on my behalf. I mechanically carried things back, my mind replaying the past, only to come face to face with Simon and Jenny. Right after the James family fell into decline, they moved into this neighborhood too. It was the first time I saw him laugh so heartily, delicately brushing the snow off Jenny's hair. Until he saw me, the smile on his face instantly vanished, and Simon looked somewhat embarrassed. He had been very close to Jenny, but then he came straight towards me. Bella, I stood stiffly as he approached. Simon seemed like he wanted to say something but hesitated, his brow furrowed with irritation. Did your dad hit you again, Simon? I called him softly. Do the promises you made still stand? What? He looked down at me, his expression a mix of confusion and annoyance. You said that no matter what happens, you would always protect me, always stand by my side. Is that true? I looked at him intently, forcing a smile. Can you stop helping Jenny? Can you help me instead? I then glanced at Jenny. Can you stop trying to take Simon from me? You were the one who wanted to break up in the first place. Jenny's beautiful face froze, speechless. Simon suddenly became angry, instinctively stepping in front of her. Bella, what do you want me to do? He's your father. Do you expect me to hit him too? Why can't you be more like Jenny? She gets along so well with her family. As if venting years of suppressed anger, Simon pushed me aside and walked away, not forgetting to take Jenny with him. Each of his words felt like a slap, hitting me so hard that I trembled with pain. Simon, you're being too harsh. After all these years, she should have grown up. She's still a young girl, not like me. You're still a young girl too. A vague headache began to assail me, the pain intensifying to the point where I could barely stand. Listening to their conversation, my nerves twitched like tight ropes. Shivering, I took a taxi back. The pain in my head grew worse, like tangled balls of yarn clogging my mind, making my breathing hurried. As the world spun around me, I fainted. When I opened my eyes again, I was in the stark white hospital. It was the same doctor as before, looking at me with pity and a sigh. Child, where's your family? If they live nearby, have them come to the hospital. Family? I paused for a moment, my gaze falling to the white bed sheet, tears unknowingly sliding down. I don't have a family. The doctor paused, then suggested. Then please have a close friend come over to discuss your treatment options. I smiled weakly, laughing until I wanted to cry. It sounds absurd when I say it. I've failed to such an extent that I have neither friends nor family. It's okay, just tell me directly. I can handle anything. The doctor was silent for a moment, without saying a word. Outside the hospital room, it was noisy. A child cried out because the nurse gave an extra injection, causing the parents to make a scene. Yet inside the room, there was a deafening silence. In this rare quiet, I felt like I could hardly breathe. Family, I thought I had one, but now I realize it was all an illusion. Tears fell drop by drop. I thought I could hold them back. When I frantically searched for tissues, tears had already freely rolled down my cheeks, dripping onto the bed. The doctor silently pushed the tissue box towards me. I took one and began wiping my tears. Even the tears seemed to conspire against me. The more I wiped, the more they flowed. I said, I know I'm not doing well. It's okay. I can accept any outcome. I couldn't continue. After a pause, the doctor said, the thing is, your condition requires a lot of follow-up treatments that need a relative's signature. Otherwise we can't proceed with the treatment. If you choose not to undergo treatment, you might only have a month or two left. If you decide on treatment, it's best to settle it today. Time waits for no one. I covered my face with tissues, one after another, quickly soaking them through. The doctor continued with many comforting words. But I couldn't take any of it in. When I staggered out of the hospital, my phone buzzed with a new message. Clicking it, I saw a series of photos. They were from Jenny, intimate photos of her and Simon, embraced, heads together, sharing a candied haw. They looked perfect together, sweet and happy. If only Simon weren't my husband. Perhaps knowing that my life was fading, I mustered the courage to send a message. Are you really that low? Enjoying stealing from others? Just after leaving the hospital, Simon called. Why did you insult Jenny? You're becoming more and more irrational. His words were sharp, spoken as if they were obvious. Facing him, I've always been timid. After a long silence of about 10 seconds, I clumsily started. She did it on purpose. Stop making things up. I know everything. Jenny, you said you married me because you liked me. It's ridiculous. Clearly you just wanted to climb up my family's social ladder, he continued. I'm letting this go because of our past, but if you keep this up, we're getting divorced. Fine, let's get divorced then. But before I could finish, the call was disconnected. His words pierced my heart. I clenched my teeth, holding back tears, quietly consoling myself in my heart. No more tears. I've cried enough today. It was winter. The streets were scarcely populated. A vast emptiness only broken by a few clusters of barren trees, dotting the winter landscape. Even the setting sun seemed to have changed color from loneliness, becoming empty and desolate, much like my life. At night, I still sat alone in the living room, waiting for him to come home. Tonight, Jenny posted on her social feed 3 times, each image showing. Everywhere I looked, there was Simon. We watched fireworks together, rode the Ferris wheel, and even painted dolls. These were the things I once dreamed of doing with Simon. I lingered over every post, scrutinizing each picture in detail. The dull pain in my heart grew sharper, but all I could do was numbly like her post. I had lost contact with Simon for a full week. He hadn't returned, nor had he called, and I hadn't reached out either. I quit my job and picked up the habit of keeping a diary, documenting my daily life. I started consulting a lawyer to understand the divorce process. I was dying and didn't want to leave this world bearing the title of Simon's wife, without Simon. My daily life suddenly became full. I occasionally took up flower arranging and dressed up more. However, I started losing more hair, suffered from insomnia, and experienced constant dull headaches and tinnitus. On the 8th day after Jenny returned to the country, Simon finally came back. A tiny spark of hope flickered in my heart. I cooked dinner and waited for him in the living room for a long time. I waited until the night deepened. The food had gone cold, and the fats had congealed. My phone pinged with messages from Jenny. She was showing off and mocking me, calling me a pitiful creature that nobody wanted. Finally, the living room door opened, and I was jolted from my drowsy state. Simon carefully closed the door and walked lightly. When he turned on the light, our eyes met. He just paused, seemingly oblivious to the meal on the table, and frowned slightly. Why aren't you asleep yet? My heart sank completely at that moment. I forced a smile, trying to make it look good. I'm going to bed now, Simon just hummed, his expression calm. Out of habit, I went forward to take his coat, and the luxurious scent of roses, Jenny's favorite perfume, hit me. My fingers twitched at the realization. 8 days since my cancer diagnosis. And my husband had spent those days with her. It felt like a blow to the head. My scalp numbed and I felt dizzy, as if I was about to faint. Despite the intense pain inside, I hung up Simon's coat, feeling my heart pounding and my breathing quick. Simon, noticing my pale complexion, softened his expression. Bella, I know you're upset, but Jenny really matters to me. Besides, we are married now. You have to trust me. I clenched my teeth so hard they chattered. I must have looked terrible. Trembling slightly, I lifted my sleeve to wipe away my tears, raised my chin, and couldn't help but retort sharply. Trust you. Trust that you spent every day and night of the week with her, just as friends. If you like her that much, let's get a divorce. The atmosphere turned icy, tense and strained, as Simon's smile disappeared from his face. His gaze met mine like that of a stranger, tinged with hurt and disappointment. How could you become so unreasonable? He exclaimed. It was only at that moment that I truly realized he was my lover, yet he did not love me. His words were not the harshest I had heard, nor the most hurtful, but they still pricked my heart. my head spun, and I pinched myself in the darkness to maintain composure. In the past, I would have apologized, softened, and tried to console him, but he had never spoken to me like this before, yet now, I am in pain. I too wanted to be consoled and held. I wanted to tell him, I was dying, I wanted to make peace. But the anger inside made me change my tone. This is who I have always been. I looked up at him, my tone flat. I approached you for your money. I don't want to pretend anymore. I do hate Jenny. She's truly disgusting, always eager to be the other woman. Simon froze for a moment. Then his eyes narrowed, a coldness spreading across his face. Shut up. Stop talking. As he wished, I fell silent. Simon's eyes, slightly reddened, seemed to burn with extreme anger. Perhaps he was sad. Living with such a malicious woman for all these years, a nameless bitterness seemed to churn in my heart, as if all the world's bitterness was swirling on my tongue. My head ached severely. I couldn't bear it. I wanted to cry, but I forcibly held it back. When no one loves you, what's the use of crying? After he spoke, he took his coat and left. His back was straight and indifferent, his movements swift and clean, as if he feared being contaminated by me. The small flame in my heart instantly extinguished. It was as if waking from a profound dream. I suddenly realized I needed to leave. My clenched hands suddenly relaxed, my emotions fluctuating. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. I collapsed, beginning to cough violently. Blood flowed from my nose, a steady stream of bright red. I lay next to the sofa, emitting earth-shattering sobs. It hurt so much, truly so much. I wanted someone to hold me. I longed for my parents, for someone to love me. But no one would care for me. My mother had passed away early, my father had another family, and he never saw me from start to finish. And my husband, he must have gone to find his first love again. The night was long, and I cried for a long time. Sobbing seemed to bring some clarity. Once I calmed down, I struggled to crawl to the bathroom and managed to stand. A face covered in blood stared back at me from the mirror. My thin hands swollen like claws, my hair dry as plastic. In that moment, I experienced an unprecedented clarity. I visited the cemetery, and next to my mother, I reserved a spot. For the days to come, I want to sleep next to my mom. I want to be with the people who love me, always. Jenny is right. I am a pitiful creature that nobody wants. But I think, no one loved me while I was alive. When I'm dead, it should finally be my turn. I sat down in front of the tombstone. My mother passed away when I was young, and my memory of her is almost fading. But I vaguely remember her being very gentle and beautiful, and she loved me. After my mother passed away, my father remarried, and in the following 20 years, he never saw me as his daughter again. Mom, I will always love you. Please love me too. I didn't sit for long as the early winter weather had begun to turn cold, and the relentless snowflakes drifted down. I tightened my coat's collar and turned to leave the cemetery. Today is the weekend. I walked down the street and stopped at the coffee shop we visited 5 years ago. Through the glass, I saw inside. It looked the same as it did 5 years ago, yet somewhat different. A young couple shared desserts, the handsome young man's cheeks slightly flushed, his ears turning red. The girl laughed quietly, her head bowed. Not far away sat a family, 3 people laughing and talking. The little girl at the table laughed continuously, dressed in a fluffy princess dress and shiny little boots. Holding a magic wand in her hand, she was held in her mother's arms, her father sitting across from them, constantly taking pictures. I saw my reflection, shying away at the doorway, like a thief peering at other people's happiness. Skinny and quiet, I stood as rigid as a piece of dry wood. I felt the blood rush to my nose, flowing down, staining the front of my shirt. I quickly covered my nose and left in a hurry. I didn't expect Simon to be there when I returned. He seemed to want to talk. Sitting on the couch, looking at me, I knew he wanted to explain but didn't know how to start. I also sat on the couch, and it seemed like it had been a long time since we were this calm with each other. Since Jenny came back, we've been talking less and he's been busier. Jenny came to me because she needed something. Once it's settled, she'll leave. And you? Simon's words echoed in my ears. I felt a liquid trickling from my nose. The nosebleed that had just stopped started again. I put down my bag and headed straight for the bathroom. Wait, I need to wash my hands first. Simon looked up at me, his brows slightly furrowed, then looked down again after hearing what I said. He knows, washing hands when coming home is my habit, but I never used to interrupt his talking just to wash my hands. I quickly walked into the bathroom and shut the door. I turned on the faucet, leaned against the cold wall, my body trembling uncontrollably, my frail, pale face distorted in immense pain. Blood continuously flowing from my nose, blood trickled down my chin, staining my shirt a vivid scarlet. The stench of blood quickly filled the air. In a panic, I grabbed a tissue, but my blood-stained fingers trembled uncontrollably. I felt so useless. Even reaching for a tissue had become a struggle. Pain throbbed violently in my head as if it were being crushed by sharp stones. The intense, stabbing pain forced me to bite down on my lower lip, but it did little to alleviate the discomfort. Outside, Simon seemed anxious. Through the door, I heard him get up and pace back and forth before he knocked on the bathroom door. "Are you done yet?" His voice carried a tone of irritation and urgency. I steadied myself and finally managed to reach out and grab the pack of tissues. After a quick cleanup, my face remained hauntingly pale. Gradually, I restored some color to my ashen face. The world, initially blurred, began to clear up as I stepped out of the bathroom. Lacking the energy to argue with him, I sat on the sofa, my expression blank, masking my pain. "Jenny has a banquet to attend today. It's important to her. I want to help her. Don't mind me." Simon looked at me earnestly, but his tone carried an assumption that I found hard to miss. What response did he expect from me? To agree or to refuse? But my ears were buzzing so loudly that the world seemed to sway. I had no interest in his affairs with Jenny. I just wanted to close my eyes and sleep deeply, and so I did. I walked into the bedroom without listening to Simon talk about how tough things were for his Jenny. The moment I lay down, I gently closed my eyes, but Simon followed me in, frowning and visibly upset. "Bella, I know you're upset, but I want us to communicate properly. We're still married, after all." Expressionless, I turned off the warm yellow light of the bedroom. "Married?" I looked at Simon's indignant face, hearing the sound of my heart cracking, feeling it widen. I lay there, watching him for a long while, until his expression turned strange and somewhat embarrassed. Struggling slightly, I lifted my head and, through the window's light, looked at him, from his full forehead to his high nose bridge to his thin lips. I knew every detail of Simon so well, yet, suddenly, he didn't seem like himself anymore. Simon from 10 years ago wasn't like this. "What do you want from me?" His patience ran out, and he roughly grabbed my hand. Caught off guard, my head knocked against the headboard, even cushioned. A dense pain surged through, but facing his self-righteous glare, all I felt was a chilling emptiness inside. I thought about how he'd been with Jenny these past few days. Perhaps he finally realized just how inadequate I was, or maybe, at some point, he truly wished his lawful wife were her. It would be so fitting if I died soon and his first love returned to the country, for them to end up together. But why should it be? After all, it was I who stood by him during his toughest times. But all he remembered was Jenny. Simon's impatience and intolerance grew more evident, and I could almost sense his guilt. It's clear, even he himself thinks it's unreasonable. Yet he still chooses to treat me this way. I first met Simon on my 15th birthday. Rarely, my stepmother gave me $5. It was her way of rewarding me for not participating in the math competition. I wanted to buy an ice cream. Meanwhile, my stepmother took Sarah and my dad out for a meal to celebrate Sarah's prize in the math competition. I secretly followed them and saw them choosing a very fancy restaurant and watched as my dad discreetly presented a big cream cake. It was a surprise for Sarah and me. I just had $5. I heard laughter coming from the restaurant. Silently, I turned and left. The ice cream at the mall was too expensive, so expensive it almost hurt my eyes. I decided to buy it near my school instead, so I could save some money. Ice cream is the sweetest indulgence of summer, sending out an irresistible fragrance that makes one drool. But now, it was winter. Ironically, my favorite summer treat was only within my reach during winter. Holding the ice cream, I softly sang the birthday song, pretending I was celebrating with my mom. I closed my eyes and made a lot of wishes in my heart. When I opened my eyes, the joy turned to astonishment. Where there had been no one before at the school gate, now stood a handsome young man. "Classmate, eating ice cream in winter is bad for the stomach. Have some cake instead." I was stunned, and before I could react, he handed me a beautiful cream cake. When I looked up again, he was playfully walking away with a pretty girl. Coming to my senses, I looked at the cream cake and suddenly tears fell, not from sadness, just a bit of amusement. The cake I ate on my birthday was actually from a stranger. Later, I learned that the cream cake, which seemed so elusive to me, was just a sugary, greasy mix that Jenny despised and rejected, but to me, it was a treasure. Fine, go join her at the party. I was too tired and in too much pain. I didn't want to argue anymore. But after I spoke, Simon's expression grew even uglier. I forced a smile, hoping to maintain a facade of harmony like so many times before. I'm not feeling well, I want to rest. Drowsy, I turned away, no longer looking at Simon, until I heard the door close. Simon had left again. It seemed I had broken a bad habit. I no longer obsessively checked Jenny's social media, nor would I ask Simon to come home early for dinner. I was busy experiencing and feeling many firsts. Going on the Ferris wheel alone, watching fireworks, painting plaster dolls. It turns out I could do it alone, only, I realized it too late. My nosebleeds became more frequent, and the headaches more severe. Often at around 4 or 5 in the morning, I would wake up, or pain would wake me from deep sleep. Later, the pain wasn't the scariest part anymore, but my eyes began to bleed, and my vision blurred. Watching my body deteriorate, I spent days in a daze. My life experience card, time is running out. I still want to see my father, using the fact that I'm close to death, with no future to worry about. I want to ask him if he ever loved me. Unfortunately, his family went on a trip. I stood stiffly at the door, ignoring the servants' curious glances. I just whispered at the doorway, "Goodbye, Dad. This is the last time I'll call you Dad. You'll probably have a great life from now on. You and your family will be very happy." But as if it were fate, I ran into Simon again, and Jenny. They walked side by side, looking harmonious and pleasing to the eye, and there I was, like a malicious intruder, ugly and spiteful. I saw the astonishment on Simon's face. He looked sharp in his well-fitted suit. The woman by his side wore a black coat and a red long skirt. They really matched well, like a handsome man and a beautiful woman, perfectly made for each other. I nodded at Simon and turned to leave. My time is limited. I have other plans today, busy experiencing different aspects of life. But my heart pounded violently, and the world began to spin again. Unexpectedly, Simon chased after me, grabbing my hand. "Bella, it's not what you think." I nodded. "Don't worry, I know you're just friends. I won't misunderstand." He became a blurry figure in my eyes. I nodded slightly, smiling as I greeted him. Simon's expression changed suddenly. "Bella, let's go to the party together." It was abrupt, strange, but I just shook my head. "No need." But Simon suddenly became anxious. "Bella, I've been wrong these past days. Please don't be mad, okay? Jenny and I have known each other for a long time." I couldn't ignore her situation. "I promise this will be the last time." I've never seen him like this, even though my vision was blurry, and I couldn't see his features clearly. I still couldn't help but look him up and down, as if he were some novel object. "Bella, I'm so sorry." Suddenly, a woman's voice interrupted. "Simon, hurry up. Why are you talking to her for so long?" I could hear disdain and disgust in her voice. His grip on my hand faltered, but Simon still made a serious promise. "Bella, I'm busy for 2 more days. I have an important business meeting today, but I will definitely come back for dinner tonight. Okay, wait for me at home tonight." Simon kept looking back at me as he walked away, noticing my increasingly thin appearance. He hurried back, urging me, "Take care of yourself, you've lost weight." Before leaving, he ran back to promise, "He'll definitely come back tonight." I tidied up the room, ordered a cake, suddenly feeling a craving for something sweet. After leisurely cooking a full table of dishes, I found myself pondering, planning to tell Simon I wanted a divorce later. What would his reaction be? Yet, tonight, I sat at the dining table, indulging in cake for a long time. The alarm clock urged me to rest, reminding me of my set bedtime. It was already 11 o'clock. I turned off the alarm and took another bite of the cake. "It's so sweet." "Definitely not for me." Reluctantly, I threw away the remaining cake. "Too sweet. I won't have it tomorrow, nor ever again." I picked up my phone, which was as usual, clean, no messages, no calls. I sent a message. I made plans with Jenny, dressed in a thick down jacket. I waited for her at the cafe early in the morning. I knew she would come. I didn't want to inquire about Simon's whereabouts, nor did I intend to cry and beg her to leave my husband. Because of my illness, my emotions have become more unstable. Now, I just wanted to do something for myself, to cheer myself up. I arrived as planned and ordered a glass of water, caressing the item I brought with me. I waited for her a long time before she finally appeared. unlike my disheveled appearance. She looked beautiful, living like a princess when her father wasn't bankrupt, beloved by her parents, liked by teachers and classmates. Almost everyone adored her. After the downfall of the James family, Jenny's father desperately sent her abroad to spare her from hardship. Even overseas, she had suitors, and now that she's back, she aims to revive the James family. So, on her first day back in the country, she eagerly wore a little white dress to meet Simon at a party. Indeed, they met. She arrived slowly, fully made up, wearing high heels, looking exquisite, and me, I looked like a zombie, pale and gaunt, suffering from headaches at midnight. My dark circles grew more pronounced, and my body was like a withered tree. I carried a large crossbody bag, bulging and unsightly compared to her. Jenny smiled broadly. "What's up? Ready to leave?" I marveled at her thick skin and slightly praised my own plan. Her gaze fell on the table, propping her chin and then looking at me with a smile. "You're just having water, that's right, just as bland and boring as you." I didn't respond to her remark. Her smile remained sweet and innocent. From the beginning, she had been flaunting her return to the country on social media. She even sent a private message to Simon. Poor Simon, it had been so many years since he'd seen her, and she pitied him for having spent so many years with someone like me. She didn't forget to subtly mention to her friends that I looked like her. No wonder Simon had been with me for so many years. Seeing me glance at her, Jenny's smile deepened, her tone smug. "You know, last night Simon," but I couldn't listen any longer. A loud and abrupt noise broke the silence. Jenny turned her head to one side, a large red mark evident on her beautiful face where I had slapped her. I poured water over her and, with dry hands, grabbed her hair and slapped her several more times. I only hit one side of her face, which swelled and puffed up grotesquely. It looked both ridiculous and amusing. Jenny tried to speak, but I quickly silenced her, because I had brought something I had prepared earlier, Simon's baseball bat. "Jenny, you truly disgust me. What are you doing? What do you want to do?" Jenny looked at me, her smug smile finally disappearing. Her expression turned to one of panic, struggling to maintain her usual poised demeanor of a wealthy heiress. I watched her and suddenly burst out laughing, gripping the baseball bat eagerly. I had hesitated that morning, but now I felt Jenny deserved this. But my plans were thwarted as Simon arrived. He took the baseball bat from me, his expression grim. He looked like he wanted to say something, but I just smiled at him. Honestly, I felt like hitting him too, but perhaps because he had been by my side for 5 years, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Jenny hid behind him, looking at me fearfully. "Look at this," just like a classic scene from a TV drama. The standoff lasted too long. And I grew tired. "Let go." His expression kept changing. "Bella, have you lost your mind?" I laughed, my voice as monotonous and dull as ever. After a while, he no longer looked at me, put the bat away, and then hugged me tightly, so tightly I could barely breathe. "I'm sorry, Bella. I lost my phone yesterday. I was out of town. I didn't mean to not come back." I laughed and forcefully held back my tears. The cold scent of pine mixed with the pungent rose perfume made me want to vomit, strangely. This time Simon didn't bother with Jenny. Instead, he took me home first. He patiently comforted me for a long time, but I only felt annoyed. Impatiently, I handed him the divorce papers. I had anticipated Jenny would call Simon, and I had originally planned to slap Simon with the papers. Simon reacted bizarrely, tearing the divorce papers to shreds in a frenzy. He held me tightly, promising repeatedly, and didn't forget to shed crocodile tears when it seemed most heartfelt. "Then transfer all the money to me." He paused again, his tone embarrassed. "The James family needs help." I raised my hand to signal him to stop talking, then I returned to the bedroom to rest. Jenny has been here for almost a month, and I have about a month left in my life. I had plans to travel around the world, but Simon has been acting increasingly strange. Lately, it seems like Jenny just disappeared, and Simon has been coming home earlier, even though I don't cook. He started learning how to and invites me to join him. He rests his head on my shoulder, tender and affectionate, just like any ordinary couple. Sometimes after dinner, he accompanies me for walks in the park, or he lets me lean on his shoulder as we watch melodramatic TV shows together. He's even started doing the dishes and cleaning up voluntarily. It's as if he's transformed into the perfect husband. Yet he's never opened that cabinet at home, nor has he seen my medical report. He's only scratching the surface with his actions, as if he thinks I'm foolish, just like he always thought I wouldn't check his phone. but I had already seen the plane tickets to Paris he booked for himself and Jenny. That's the place she mentioned wanting to visit with her loved one, shared on her social media. As I sat absorbed by the TV show, he came over and pulled me into his arms. I looked up at him briefly before returning my gaze. He followed my look towards the TV. It was another cliché scene. The male lead supports the other woman, who, crying, hides in his embrace, unable to bear it. He scolds the main female character for being unreasonable, while comforting the startled other woman. The main female character is stunned, unbelievingly watching as he comforts the other, crying out, "What am I to you? I'm your girlfriend, I am." Simon stiffened, a slight smile played on my lips as I quietly appreciated the acting skills of the other woman and the male lead. It was all too familiar. Like most stories, the male lead repeatedly sides with the other woman, misunderstanding the main character. The main character, after enduring much, finally decides to leave. The male lead realizes his true love was the main character all along, seeks revenge on the other woman, and starts to woo his wife back with the help of others, leading to a reconciliation and a happy life together with twins. After the show ended, it was already midnight. After a quick wash, I took a sleeping pill and went to bed. Simon held me tight in his arms, immobilizing me. His guilt and nervousness were so obvious they almost made me laugh. I called out to him, "Simon, let me go. I need to sleep." He complied. The room grew very quiet, so quiet I could hear his heartbeat and his long breaths. "Bella," he called my name, which made me feel a bit sick. There was a tone of grievance in his voice. "You used to call me Simon honey." I almost wanted to laugh, but couldn't, just like he always calls Jenny, Jenny honey. Oh, bearing the pain in my head, I impatiently patted his hand away. Then I took some painkillers from the bedside table, swallowed them, and finally felt a bit better. Simon pulled me closer again, tenderly embracing me, his love seeming to engulf me. Finally, he closed his eyes, buried his head in my collarbone, took a deep breath, and held me tight, muttering my name under his breath. "Bella, Bella, you've lost a lot of weight recently. In a bit, I'll take you for a checkup, okay? And when you're better, should we try for a child, preferably a girl, gentle like you?" Simon was showing a depth of emotion I had never seen in him before, but I felt that if he truly loved me, he wouldn't be so concerned about Jenny, nor would he have secretly booked tickets to Paris with her. Simon was becoming more clingy, as if he truly couldn't help loving me. I knew it was because he was planning to go to Paris with Jenny, out of guilt towards me. He couldn't help but compensate. Tomorrow was the day he was leaving for Paris. Simon came home early, spending the afternoon busy in the kitchen. The table was laden with delicious dishes that emitted a tempting aroma. I had no appetite and felt a bit nauseous. Simon stood in front of me, his gaze filled with a subtle love, but more so, it was filled with immense guilt. "I have to go abroad tomorrow for a few days, just 3 days, Bella, I'm sorry. When I return, I will sort things out with Jenny. Don't be upset, Bella." Simon softly called my name. I knew he wanted to return to how things were before, but why should I continue to play along? However, the atmosphere was pleasant, and I didn't expose him, not until Jenny's call came through. I had shared many sweet moments with Simon these past days, and she couldn't sit still anymore. Her soft voice came through the phone, Jenny crying breathlessly. She said there was a strange person at her door. She was very scared, very worried. She repeatedly called out for Simon, as if deliberately for me to hear. "Simon, I feel so awful. I'm all alone and scared. I don't know anyone around here. It's pitch black outside. It's frightening. Can you come and be with me, please? Simon, Simon." Simon glanced at me. Just that one look, all the love and guilt in his eyes vanished, leaving only concern. "There's some trouble at Jenny's. I need to check on her. Bella, you stay home and wait for me. I'll be back soon." He seemed to be comforting himself. Too guilty to meet my eyes. "Can you not go?" Simon looked at me, opened his mouth, then closed it. This was the first time I had made a request in days. The atmosphere instantly turned icy. Simon didn't speak. Suddenly, I didn't want to play along anymore. I was nearly at my breaking point. Clinging to what? Why couldn't I let go? He wanted to say something else, but I agreed. It seemed to take all my strength to squeeze out a, "Okay, go quickly, don't let her wait too long." Simon didn't pause. He turned and headed straight for the door, hesitating once again, and there I stood in the living room, as I had countless times before, watching his retreating figure. He turned to look at me. I smiled and waved him off, even throwing in a friendly reminder. Do you want to take your suitcase to make it easier when you go abroad tomorrow? My tone was gentle, like a devoted wife treating her beloved husband, countless times before. He paused, seemingly considering the suggestion seriously. But ultimately, he just shook his head and rushed off hurriedly, leaving me with only his silhouette. I watched him hurry downstairs, too impatient for the elevator. He rushed, fearing something bad might happen to his Jenny, and I, unable to control myself, collapsed to the floor, the food still on the table. I didn't want to dwell on him, but my heart kept asking involuntarily, why didn't he even pack his luggage? Had he already left his things at Jenny's, or was this planned by them today, or perhaps he might come back for it? I don't know. I got a nosebleed again, my vision blurring increasingly. I went to the bathroom, as I had countless times before, hoping to revive myself with some cold water, but the pain in my head intensified, making it impossible to stand. Exiting the bathroom suddenly became a difficult task. I felt weak, but the little voices in my head kept shouting, and a few more analyzed Simon for me. My head was in chaos, my whole body in pain as if I had been severely beaten. Uncontrollably, I collapsed on the cold bathroom floor and curled up on the tiles. It hurt so badly. The phone rang and was quickly cut off. It took a while before I could react, feeling returning to my body, but my head still throbbing painfully. It felt like a giant hand was violently shaking my head. I slowly opened my eyes, sweat soaking my hair, my vision so blurred I couldn't see objects, only sensing the light. The little voices in my head hadn't stopped. They kept screaming wildly. He's left you again, poor thing, unwanted, pitiful thing, a dying, pitiful thing. Tears fell silently, not because of Simon, it's because I'm in too much pain. Truly, I no longer had the strength to cry, even breathing felt like a burden to me. I crawled from the bathroom to the bedroom bit by bit, fumbling. I picked up my notebook and wrote down the date. Today's diary entry was pitifully short, just 2 words, it hurts. The day grew darker, and the light in my vision faded. Just like me, painkillers and sleeping pills were becoming ineffective. I curled up in bed, trying to find a moment of clarity amid the chaotic thoughts. I suddenly felt a bit of hatred for Simon, for keeping me waiting so long. If only he had properly divorced me, I might be in Dali or by the seaside now. I couldn't help but blame myself, blaming myself for being utterly foolish. When people show me a little kindness, I can't help but gravitate towards them, but I really want someone to love me. I can't control myself. I want to hate Simon, I want to hate Dad, but I also wish they would truly love me. None of that matters now. Humans are fascinating, like how I can clearly sense now that I'm really about to die. If not today, then tomorrow. The pain immobilizes me. It's already late. I don't want to bother the medical staff now. I'll wait until tomorrow, if I can wake up. The tugging between the 3 of us is finally coming to an end. I pick up the sleeping pills. It's time to sleep. I hope I can wake up tomorrow. My phone vibrates again. It's a photo from Jenny. It seems someone also called me. But I don't want to look anymore. I'm tired. I close my eyes. The world is so noisy. My mind gradually becomes foggy. Sleepiness overtakes me. Suddenly, Simon feels a great panic. As if he's about to lose something precious, he clutches his chest, wondering if he's not been resting well lately. Simon, I'm glad you're here. Tonight was really scary, Jenny says with a flushed face, somewhat embarrassed. Simon is momentarily stunned. His chest pain intensifies. The pain is like the day he saw Bella standing alone in the neighborhood, pale-faced, thin, as if she might disappear the next second. He was stunned then, with only one thought in his mind, is this still my Bella? Panic swept over him, and he chased after her. He thought he would be met with Bella's hysterical questions, her anger, jealousy, and accusations, but she didn't. She acted as if nothing was wrong, as if there was no Jenny, no him. The more she acted like this, the more fearful and scared Simon felt. Simon reassured himself, Bella loved him too much to leave. He knew how much Bella loved him, and that no one else loved her but him, so naturally, he felt that Bella couldn't leave. But the underlying panic and fear were real. He still wanted to be with Bella, but tonight, when Jenny called, he couldn't help but agree. Bella would surely understand. Any girl would panic and be scared in such a situation. He and Jenny checked the surveillance, and he carefully inspected her house, comforting her, gently wiping away the tears from her face. As he prepared to leave, She suddenly grabbed his sleeve. Simon, don't go, we're going to Paris together tomorrow, let's not make it hard. Simon wanted to refuse, he felt anxious, wanting to go back and check on Bella, but Jenny was trembling, her eyes full of terror. She hugged him, softly sobbing, I won't come back here anymore. What should I do if we never see each other again? I've been feeling unwell lately, and I'm really scared that I might have a serious illness and never see you again. Simon's heart softened, and he comforted her carefully. He reminded himself, this is the last time. The phone didn't ring. And I fell asleep peacefully. Fortunately, I made it to the next morning. The headache became more intense, and my breathing grew more rapid. I picked up my phone and called for an ambulance. Even though I felt close to death, I didn't want to stay in this place. My vision blurred, and I saw a white figure, probably a doctor. I heard him ask about my condition, advanced brain cancer. My nose bled again. The nurse beside me hurriedly searched for tissues. Tears fell on my face. I couldn't see her face, but I heard her soft sobs. I managed a faint smile, as if to comfort her. The hot tears fell faster, scalding my hands. Don't be afraid, we'll be at the hospital soon. I heard her trying to hold back her tears as she comforted me. I told her, it's okay, I'm just in a bit of pain. I probably shouldn't have told her that, but I really had no one else to tell. I couldn't tell my father, his family isn't mine. Nor could I tell Simon, he's busy going to Paris with Jenny. I'm used to it. No one cares about me, even I have given up. I heard the doctor using my phone to make calls, notifying my critical condition, but no one answered after many attempts. He tried the hospital's number too, still no one. I wanted to tell them not to bother. No one cares about me, but my fading consciousness didn't allow me to utter a word. I could only force a smile. Maybe after I die, someone will love me. That would be nice. Under Jenny's tender care, Simon and she boarded the plane, unbeknownst to him. Jenny had blocked a phone number. She also blocked unknown callers. As soon as the plane landed, Simon eagerly turned on his phone. No calls, no messages. Simon opened the WeChat chat interface, waiting for messages. The chat history was clean since the last argument over Jenny. Bella hadn't sent him any messages since then. Now, there were only messages from Simon to Bella in the past few days, telling her when he would be home, but there was no response from her. The last message was just sent by Simon. Honey, I've arrived in Paris. No response. Simon scrolled down, refreshing. Still nothing. A strange feeling grew in his heart. Maybe Bella was busy with something else and hadn't noticed. Simon's fingers unconsciously scrolled up and down, refreshing WeChat, as if doing so would bring a message from someone. Holding his phone, Simon stood at the airport for nearly 10 minutes. Jenny looked upset and kept urging him. After staring at his phone screen for a couple more seconds, Simon turned it off irritably and put it away in his bag. He strode forward, pushing his luggage cart, and didn't forget to take Jenny's as well. Snowflakes drifted down, settling on his brow bone, making Simon appear even more aloof and distant. Jenny clenched her teeth, her face showing some reluctance. Yet, she suppressed her displeasure and reached forward to grasp Simon's hand. They headed to the hotel first, where Jenny, acting coquettishly, insisted on sharing a room with Simon. However, for some reason, Simon was much colder towards Jenny. A panic was spreading within him. Bella still hadn't replied to his messages. He regretted it and considered calling to ask, but he felt a bit embarrassed. Without realizing, he checked WeChat again, but still, there were no messages. Jenny, making a fuss about taking photos at the Eiffel Tower. Simon grew impatient. Haven't you been to Paris before? Jenny was taken aback, tears welling up, her eyes filled with hurt. Waiting for the person in front of her to comfort her, looking into those eyes, Simon was inexplicably reminded of another person, Bella. That night he left, she had looked at him in the same way. There was a hint of hurt and embarrassment in her eyes, but mostly, they were cold. Simon paused, his tone calm. Stop crying, I'll go with you. Jenny's face lit up with joy. Then, can you wear this scarf? She handed him a scarf, identical to the one around her own neck. Simon instinctively dodged. No, Bella wouldn't like that. Jenny's expression darkened. She won't mind. I'll explain it to her later. Simon shook his head, his fingers fidgeting, unconsciously pulling out his phone. Looking at his chat with Bella, a rare hint of unease and irritation crossing his brow. Why hasn't she replied yet? It was cold in Paris in December, and the two walked in silence, heads bowed. Simon was increasingly regretful. Why did he agree to come? the best time to be in Paris was clearly in May during spring. It was just inappropriate. Simon glanced at Jenny and reaffirmed in his mind. Indeed inappropriate, if only he was here with Bella. He quietly decided to come back to Paris with Bella in May. There were many couples kissing under the Eiffel Tower. Jenny seemed moved. She noticed that Simon was distracted today, preoccupied with Bella, just a stand-in. She was very dissatisfied in her heart, but she looked up with a smile. Still the bright young girl Simon remembered. Do you remember the line Hemingway wrote in A Movable Feast? It's also why I came to Paris. Jenny looked up at Simon, her eyes tender and soft, shimmering like the sun melting the snow. You belong to me now, I think, you and all of Paris. Simon looked down, but remained silent. Jenny tiptoed slightly, and Simon, accommodatingly, leaned down slightly to meet her. He left swiftly, sighing, wishing it was Bella instead. Then, he coldly pushed Jenny away. I have a girlfriend now. Jenny, having held back her dissatisfaction for so long, finally exploded. Her face looked terrible. Why did you bring me to Paris then? And she's just a fake. Simon's face darkened as if it could drip water, his eyes covered with an unmelting layer of ice. He pushed Jenny away with a cold face, not wanting to listen. All he wanted now was to return home, to see Bella. He didn't want to pretend anymore. This time, it was his fault. He made a phone call, smoking one cigarette after another, his facial features becoming increasingly stern, the agitation between his brows almost spilling out. The line kept giving a message that it couldn't connect. Restless and agitated, he scrolled through WeChat again, thinking it might be the time difference. As it was 9 o'clock in Paris and still early morning where Bella was, it was normal not to see any messages, but the unease in his heart spread. Ignoring Jenny's crying and pleading, he still booked the earliest flight back. By the time he returned, it was the early morning of the third day. Simon anxiously opened the door, the living room light still on, revealing a hopeful warmth in the slightly brightening sky. He quickened his pace, eager to see Bella. In his heart, he thought to confess, to apologize, to promise never to do this again, but there was no sign of her. The food on the table was cold, still the dishes he had made. There were some bloodstains on the living room floor, and the bathroom door was wide open. Most importantly, she was missing from the house. Bella was angry. Bella had disappeared. Simon thought she had left home in a huff. But in the bedroom, he found a notebook. The notebook was open to a page with just 2 words. It hurts. The date was written on it, December 19th, the night he had gone to Jenny's. Simon's hands trembled as he started reading from the first page. November 12, 2023. The doctor told me I have late-stage brain cancer. This bald doctor is quite cute. He seriously advised me. He told me to check into the hospital for treatment as soon as possible, but all I heard was, extend survival time. Well, never mind then. I don't like the smell of hospital disinfectants. I don't like the lifelessness. I don't like the desperate pleas for help, and I don't like being all alone. I want to call Simon, but I don't know what to say. Never mind, I'll put the medical report in the cabinet. We'll talk when he sees it. But Jenny is back. Will he still care about me? November 13th, 2023. Simon didn't come home all day today. I'm very angry, very angry. November 14th, 2023. Dad hit me. He said I was useless. Told me to ask Simon to invest. Simon is not a fool. He wouldn't invest in a project that doesn't make money. I'll ask his opinion tonight. See how we can best help the family. November 15th, 2023. Jenny is back. Simon is no longer just my Simon. He won't call me Bella anymore. He calls me Bella. November 16, 2023. My husband went to accompany Jenny. They took photos together, rode the Ferris wheel together, and painted plaster dolls together. These were the things I once eagerly wanted to do with him. But not anymore. November 21st, 2023. Simon hasn't come home for many days. I went to see my mom. My mom is mine alone. She won't love anyone else. I bought a plot next to her, a place with good feng shui, so I can be with my mom forever and ever. Simon came back today, but he came back to argue with me. He doesn't like me. November 25th, 2023. I feel like eating cake. The cream cake Simon gave me when I was 15, even though it was the one Jenny didn't want. November 30th, 2023. Simon's been getting busier, always telling me to go to bed early and not wait up for him. Alright, I'll be good and listen. Will Simon come home tonight? December 5th, 2023, my illness is getting worse, my nose bleeds a lot every day, it's really scary, my head hurts so terribly, and so does my whole body, it hurts to stand, sit, or lie down, but my face is so pale. December 6, 2023. I'm starting to lose control of my emotions, I really want to beat Jenny to death, forget it, Simon would be angry if I hit her, actually. I want to hit him too, but I just can't bring myself to do it, even though he doesn't like me anymore. After being with me for 5 years, I still can't bring myself to hit him. Actually, it's been a very long time since I last had a proper meal. Today, I drank a sip of water, the rest I splashed on Jenny's face, which made me really happy, but I'm still a bit sad. But it's not a big deal, it's just that I'm going to die soon. When I die, I can be with my mom. December 6, 2023. He asked if I wanted to attend a dinner party. I said no. I haven't looked in the mirror in a long time, insomnia at night, no appetite during the day. When I washed my face this morning and looked up, I was shocked. My face was pale, devoid of color, with dark circles under my eyes. I looked like an old person whose life was at its end, but I'm only in my 20s, at the prime of my youth. As the end approaches, it only gets worse, emaciated, the chill and pain seeping from my bones, nerve decay, haunting me like a shadow, until death. I don't want to suffer like this. December 7th, 2023. I want to go see my dad. I'm about to die, might as well see him one last time. Ha ha ha, it's so funny, his whole family went on a trip. I'm so silly, Bella, you're so silly. How come I only realized now that nobody in this world loves me? But Mom will love me later. Mom will always love her child. Mom will always love Bella. December 9th, 2023. Insomnia, pain. I threw up again after eating. December 10th, 2023. It hurts so much. It hurts so much. Painkillers aren't enough anymore. I plan to go to the hospital tomorrow to get some sleeping pills. December 11th, 2023. I never thought that even breathing would hurt. I want to cry. I want to cry. But crying hurts too, better save my energy. December 13th, 2023. It hurts and aches. December 14th, 2023. Simon came back. He's cleaning. December 15th, 2023. Seeing him fawn over her just disgusts me. I knew long ago that he had booked tickets to go to Paris with Jenny. Jenny said that it's a place to visit with your loved one. How ironic. My loved one is the one going with her. December 17th, 2023. My eyes are getting worse. They're bloodshot and it's really scary. Jenny annoys me so much. I wish she would post less on social media. It's all about Simon, and he's still my husband. It's so strange that Simon won't divorce me, one at home, another outside. It's just absurd. December 18th, 2023. Sleeping pills and painkillers aren't working anymore. I don't want to get injections. It hurts too much. December 19th, 2023. It hurts so much. Simon's hands were trembling non-stop. And there was nothing more written in the notebook. Where could Bella have gone? Besides here, where else could she go? She must be angry and gone out of town. It's okay, no worries. She'll come back once she cools down. But after waiting several days, Simon still hadn't seen Bella. No one knew where she had gone. Her messages on WeChat dropped into the void. Her colleagues said she had quit her job long ago, and her father said he hadn't seen her for a month. Again, cautiously bringing up the investment Simon was supposed to make. It was then that he discovered Bella had blocked his number, and during this time, Bella had made 54 calls to him. It goes without saying who blocked her. No one else would touch his phone but Jenny. But what exactly happened to Bella? His panic was worse than before, like a torrential rain following a storm, the raindrops merging into water, slowly drowning him. Simon began to search for Bella, starting with various ticket bookings. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Had she not left? He continued searching, tracing her daily routines: home, flower shop, mall, hospital. A huge wave of panic hit him. The answer seemed imminent. Simon was scared, recalling her increasingly emaciated appearance. He couldn't bear to think further. Simon was desolate, locking himself in his room for a day and a night, until he decided to pull himself together and find Bella first. But he ran into a neighbor lady in the community who approached him with concern. "Is your Bella better yet?" That day when the ambulance took her, it was frightening. "I heard from the doctors at the city hospital. It was serious. Where were you then? Why weren't you with her?" Ambulance, city hospital. When Simon got the news and rushed there, she had already transformed, seeing her being pulled out of the morgue by the nurse. "You are her husband." She glanced at Simon and then said, "She was that sick, and you didn't notice." She complained again, "She's been gone so long, and only now you come." The young nurse glanced at Simon, her eyes full of disdain, and sneered a few times as she walked away. Simon stood in front of Bella's body for an entire afternoon. It was bitterly cold, but Simon felt nothing. He stood there, frozen in place. His tall silhouette blocked the light overhead, his back ramrod straight, his lips quivered continuously, his fists clenched too tightly, nails digging into his flesh without his awareness. He stared at the body covered with a white cloth, starting to talk to himself. "Bella, Bella, wake up, please wake up." His voice, usually calm, now trembled slightly. His eyes were reddening, but his tone was as steady as ever. "I love you. I wanted to be with you forever. I wanted to go to Paris with you. I regret it. I should not have interfered with Jenny. Please, wake up." He stood numbly until the afternoon. The funeral home staff arrived for the cremation, which Bella had arranged. Simon finally moved, as if driven mad. He wouldn't let anyone touch Bella. Nobody was allowed to touch his wife. Yes, she was his wife, but what had he really done for her? Those details he had deliberately overlooked. The ignored love, intricate and sharp like a knife, twisted into his heart. It dawned on him, painfully and surprisingly, that he truly loved Bella, but now she would never know. His knuckles turned white as he gripped his phone tightly. His expression hardened, his gaze slowly lifting as his facial muscles twitched subtly. "It hurts so much, Bella, it hurts so bad. I regret it, I truly do." His heart ached, his fingertips trembled as if someone had sprinkled steel marbles inside his heart, a cold, hard pain rolling across it. Looking at Bella covered by the white cloth, his strength seemed to drain away instantly. He couldn't hold on any longer, bent over with his hand over his chest. A tear fell to the ground. Simon tried to suppress his voice, but tears uncontrollably streamed down his cheeks. "Bella, Bella." He instinctively tried to reach for the cigarettes in his pocket, but his hands trembled so much that he couldn't grasp them. His heart felt like it was being crushed by a tremendous force, the intense pain spreading to his fingertips. His voice was hoarse. "Don't touch her. Leave her be, please. Don't cremate her. Stop." Simon was nearly overwhelmed by regret and self-blame, his voice tinged with panic and confusion. He became restless, even irritable. His lips turned pale. He clenched his fists and kept calling for Bella until his voice was hoarse, until he could no longer speak, but no one paid him any attention. Bella was already gone. "You always said you'd wait for me at home." Simon's voice was lost, hoarse as if squeezed from the depths of his throat, his shoulders trembling uncontrollably. He couldn't help but cover his face with his hands, bowing his head in anguish. Rarely does one see a man cry so desperately, so unconcerned with his image. He looked utterly heartbroken and pitiful. Simon wanted to leave with Bella's ashes but found out that she had already made arrangements. Someone came to collect them, placed into the spot she had chosen long ago. Simon buried his face deep into his collar, his hands hanging limply by his sides, twisting the hem of his shirt aimlessly. He raised his eyes in despair, staring at Bella's urn, his gaze filled with profound sorrow. Bella was truly gone. Her ashes were now interred in the cold grave. There would never be another Bella in the world. Jenny held Simon's hand, her voice urgent with a crying tone. "Simon, she's gone, she's dead. What's the point of this now? If she were here, she wouldn't want to see you like this." But Simon just stood there, stunned, without uttering a word. Bella was dead. She really didn't need him anymore. She didn't need anything anymore. It was all her fault. It was all Jenny's fault. He turned his head, glaring at Jenny fiercely. This version of Simon frightened her, and she instinctively wanted to step back, to distance herself. These days, Simon had lost a lot of weight. His chin was covered with a stubble of dark bristles, and his eyes were deeply sunken. Every time he thought of the past, his heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand, making it hard for him to breathe. He dared not sleep, fearing that he would see Bella in his dreams, afraid of seeing her disappointed face. "Simon, I was wrong. I shouldn't have split you two up." Jenny's voice was hoarse. In just a few days, she too had become haggard. "I'm leaving, and I won't come back." Though she said this, there was a hint of hope in her eyes. What if Simon asked her to stay? Hearing her, Simon just slowly lifted his eyes. His movements were sluggish, like a long-neglected machine, and you could even hear the crackling sound of his bones. His eyes, bloodshot and hollow, were filled with disgust. Just go, I don't want to see you ever again. Simon lowered his head, mumbling to himself, if Bella comes back and sees you, she'll be angry. Jenny turned pale. She wanted to say something else, but then Simon suddenly looked up, a flash of anger crossing his brow. His tone cold and ruthless, he hurled the bottle he was holding at Jenny, his eyes red with rage. He roared, this is mine and Bella's home, you have no right to be here, get out. Jenny stood there stunned, as if unable to believe he could speak to her like that, her face covered in tears, looking at the diary that Simon cherished, placed on his lap. She cried out, people are dead. What deep affection are you pretending to have? Is this all my fault? Why do you only blame me? Why didn't she say something? And you, why didn't you notice? Simon looked up, his eyes frighteningly red, seemingly impatient and at his limit. Breathing heavily, he lifted another bottle, threatening to throw it. Get out of here, now, go. Seeing his crazed and terrifying demeanor, Jenny was frightened. Seeing his unyielding stance, despair flashed in her eyes as she cried here for several days. But Simon showed no reaction, treating her like this. What hope could there be for the future? She ran away crying and eventually left in an ambulance. Simon sat expressionless, drinking, seemingly indifferent to everything around him. I should have sent her away earlier. If I had sent her away, Bella wouldn't have been in pain. Bella wouldn't have left me either. Simon's face turned pale. He raised the bottle to his mouth again and drank heavily. A light drizzle fell from the sky. Bella had been dead for nearly a month. The city was enveloped in gray, as if sunk in gloom. The city gained another drunkard. He constantly muttered, Bella, I was wrong, please, come back. A filthy drunkard crossed the street as usual, pouring alcohol into his mouth. The screech of tires, a car recklessly drove towards him. The piercing sound of brakes, the massive inertia and the chaotic impact were horrific to behold. Accompanied by the sounds of metal scraping and shattering, a bottle was thrown high into the air. As if time had stopped, until the body, hurled by the impact, fell heavily to the ground, lying in a pool of blood. Bella, I was wrong, please, forgive me. But what met him was the car's second crushing blow. Breaking news on January 25, 2024, a major traffic accident occurred in City S. A drunk man speeding caused multiple injuries and one fatality. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.